to wear a white poppy, which represents pacifism. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Green Party leader Zack Polanski wore one alongside the traditional red poppy during a Remembrance Sunday commemorations at the Cenotaph this Sunday. The poppies are from the Peace Pledge Union. It's the UK's oldest secular and pacifist group. They argue that the Royal British Legion's position that red poppies show support for the armed forces is a political position. Even though white poppies have been around since 1933, there is still some controversy about them, in part because they don't directly benefit the British Legion. But what are they actually about? Well, let's take a look, shall we? We've got a wall here. White poppies are about remembrance of all victims of war. That means British, Allied and others. It's commitment to peace, it's non-violent solution to conflicts, challenging war and military power. And it is against the glorification of or celebration of war, just generally. Is this a negative thing, Angela?
I really, really object to the white poppy. I don't know why it can't be a white something else, why it has to be a poppy, why we couldn't ring-fence the poppy as a singular unifying symbol of honouring those who made a sacrifice, not the glorification or celebration of war. A lot of young men and young women had no choice but to be conscripted, and they had to fight against those who would seek to destroy this country. It allows for a coming together, a symbol that obviously benefits the veterans through the British Legion. And it nods back to the 1915 poem by John McCrae about the poppies growing in Flanders fields. You know, they grew on the war-battled fields of World War I. And I don't understand how we have to sort of always damage something that has been such a, like I say, a singular symbol. By all means, advocate peace. What I also object is that there's almost an implied criticism of the poppy. You know, it's easy to say in peacetime, oh, it's a glorification of war. It's almost to say that, you know, what did you have to fight for? We had to fight the evils of Hitler, we had to fight in other conflicts, and it's so easy to kind of rewrite that history now. Why don't we just honour those who made the sacrifice and choose another symbol if you want to object?
Well, there's two things there. There's one, that you would want it to be a different flower. You don't mind its existence and its political sort of ideology, if you like, if that's what you consider it to be. So would you be anti the purple poppy, which I'm wearing, which is to honour the animals that are killed in war?
Well, why does it have to be a poppy? Why can we not have this singular symbol that allows people of all different political beliefs and persuasions to come together in some kind of silent respect and say we are remembering something very specific about those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, so we can sit here today in a warm television studio and debate it. And that's a wonderful liberty we should never take for granted. Do something else. Leave the poppy alone as a symbol of the respect that we feel for the sacrifice that none of us have had to make, and God forbid we should ever have to make.
I've had to make the sacrifice of a war. I don't know what you're on about. I'm a child of war. I had to leave because foreign countries came to mine and decided to have it off with fight one another. It's absolutely categorically untrue that... Sorry.
No, it's OK, and I understand. Nelufar,
wait, hold
on.
No, it's really... I really want you to understand, because I really respect you, and you were the first person I was ever on this show with.
The first person I ever did.
And you're the first person I ever did this show with, and you've always been kind to me, and I respect you immensely, but the soldiers aren't the only ones who suffer. We're not the only ones who have flashbacks. They're not the only ones that have to live with the consequences. They're not the only ones that get torn from their homeland. We're not the only ones that have to live with the legacy of something that destroyed our lives. So it's really important to remember the many other victims of war. As someone who survived a foreign war of the USSR and the Americans, and is now living with the consequences of a British war with my friends and family, why not the poppy? Why not it being a perfect moment to remember that peace is the ultimate goal, not valorising and deifying these men who went off and fought in the war. Soldiers aren't the only ones that suffer. And Zack Polanski chose to wear both. He chose to wear the red poppy and the white poppy. You can do both. It doesn't... I don't care. Turn it into a swan, a rose, I don't know, a lol sign. It doesn't matter. The point is...
Is it actually not important for it to be a poppy?
It is important for some, but
it represents...
I'm willing to compromise and say, fine, turn it into a rose. I don't care. But it is the perfect moment to wear it on Remembrance Day. And if I had one, They've been around since 1930, apparently.
1933, yes.
So they've been around for quite a while, been established, but they're not as popular. Next year, I promise, I vouch to wear one to remember all who suffer in the war, not just the animals or the victims who had no choice.
You're going to wear what? Sorry, a red one?
The white one.
Right. But that would suggest, respectfully, and I know you've had a horrendous experience, and I would never in any way attempt to negate that. But equally, and not say even equally, because that suggests that I'm demeaning it in any way. I can't imagine what it feels like. You have Holocaust survivors who talked about who wear the red poppy because they talk about the gratitude of the British forces who went to liberate Belsen. Yes. My grandfather came to this country at the turn of the century and immediately conscripted and became a stretcher bearer because he fled persecution and he wanted to give of his service. Let those who gave service be remembered.
No one is standing in their way.
You are, because
what
you
we're
are
saying is that you can. There is no such thing as. This is not a zero-sum game. One does not negate the other. In fact, I've got enough space on my chest to wear 50 poppies, different colours, respecting the LGBTQIA community, respecting the millions and millions of animals without which we would have never so much as got to France. So I don't see this diminishing the importance of the red poppy for sure. But these points stand without any hesitation.
Well, you can hear the passion in our panel, and I'm sure you're passionate at home, so please don't go anywhere. We're taking your calls on this after the break. Do you think it is okay to wear a white poppy? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. And don't forget, later we're also asking if more free food should be given to families on benefits. Let us know what you think. We'll see you after this. Before the break, we asked which animal features on the logo of the World Wildlife Fund, and the answer is the panda. Welcome back to the show. Nelufar and Angela still here with me. Now, don't forget, later we're asking if more free food should be given to families on benefits. It's a government voucher scheme. It reportedly may be extended, and we're going to be talking about that. But now let's go to your calls on whether it is okay to wear a white poppy, which represents pacifism and stands against military power. Now, we should mention as well, before the break, Angela did a very impassioned speech about why she should be wearing the red poppy, and we only noticed in the break that her red poppy had, in fact, fallen off. So we can only apologise, and hopefully it is on more
I'm wondering if the universe is trying to tell me something.
We're going to clip that up for social media, and people are going to go, she's not even wearing the red poppy.
She is.
She is.
And my good friend here actually pointed it out. Yeah. Considering she's on the other side of the debate, in full fairness, she's actually
started looking for it, to be honest. Where's her poppy?
So let's go to the calls then and speak to Maria from Portsmouth. Maria, where do you stand on this?
Right, I'm going to be very honest with you and look at how that poppy brought you two together. You're laughing together. That's what the poppy does. It brings people together. We remember the fallen that laid down and died for us.
But does it matter whether that poppy is red, purple, blue, green?
The red represents their blood. The red represents their blood that they spilled for us.
But Maria, but crucially, it represents the blood of military and allied forces, and it doesn't represent the blood spill of civilians.
The problem you have then is when we're talking about remembrance, we are talking about military personnel. We should then have another one to represent them and use a white poppy in that respect.
Well, I don't know, Maria. Are we just talking about military personnel? Because actually, and Prince Harry wrote a sort of essay on this as well. There is absolutely an element of remembering the ultimate sacrifice made, but we are also remembering the knock-on impact that has to their loved ones left behind. Now, they're civilians.
No. You're not understanding what the poppy was actually representing at the time it was done. Yeah. At the time it was done for the fallen soldiers.
Of course it was.
Not civilians, not anybody else. So let's then respect that. If we want to do something to unite and remember everybody over everything else, then bring the white poppy out for that.
Well, can two things not be true at the same time? For example, I am remembering those that have fallen and the animals.
One is a different battle to another battle.
Did they not die, Maria, to give us? Did they not die to give us freedom of choice? To give us the freedom?
They died for us. They died for us, exactly. They died for us. So let's respect that first. and then do something else separate to that.
They died. I absolutely agree with you. They died so that we had this liberty, and the fact that it was created by the veterans in 1921, so they'd come through this incredibly awful conflict in which millions and millions, the great flower of our youth, had died because it afforded us this liberty. And unfortunately, they went to war 25 years later in the Second World War. I think we have to respect the genesis of it. I think it is ultimately what Maria is saying. You know, the veterans spilt blood or they defended us. Let's respect what it represents. Put that in a box and then say, if we want to have conversations about other ways, of course, civilians always pay the ultimate price as well. Let's have other things, but let's ring fence this one day and this one symbol for the veterans.
Well, could that be a compromise, Nelufar, that we have another day to remember civilians, we have another day to remember everyone and every life affected by war?
You do not have to be against... Maria made a very powerful point, and I agree with her, but that's not the end of the story. You don't just close the book after you remember the fallen soldiers. Then you think about all the civilians that had to live with that. Then you think about the children that perished. You think about the other side. You think about the reasons why peace is more important than remembering the fallen. That peace is about the future. It's about a hope. It's about wanting this never to happen again. And I think that is the most important thing. Glorifying one element of it isn't going to... It's not why I would want to wear it. I would want to wear the white poppy, which I will from next year when I can. It's to understand that peace is the future, and that is the ultimate goal. And if it's been around since the 1930s, I think it's been a long enough time for us to respect what it is.
OK, Maria, thank you very much for your call. Victor from Hampshire, what's your view?
Hi. Firstly, I'm just wondering why, in some respects, we're even having this conversation. A lot of these things come from the past, and they come from the past for certain reasons. You know, Flanders Fields, all the poppies grew there, and they took that as a symbol. But over the years, things change. And if something needs to be added because someone thought, well, actually, we should be celebrating this, or we should be remembering other things, then let's do so.
Yeah. But Victor, Maria says
have
no.
Massive debates about it.
Maria says we should do that on another day. We should not do that on Remembrance Sunday. We shouldn't do that in a time of remembrance.
No, absolutely not. When there are theatres of war, I'm an ex-veteran, 12 years in the army. When there's a theatre of war, innocent people suffer, and they suffer on the same day as the soldiers die, whichever side they're on. It's the same time. The suffering afterwards is a different matter. But lots of innocent people die on the very same day that the soldiers that are trying to liberate or the soldiers that are trying to defend die as well.
I'm going to put that argument to Angela. Why pick a different day when, as Victor says, the devastation happens on the same day?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say to Victor, thank you. I don't know what you're a veteran of, but thank you for coming to the aid of this country in whichever role that you served. I just think the two are not mutually exclusive, and I'm sorry if I'm a bit of a kind of broken record here, but the problem is that it seems to be a thing in this country. It seems to be a bit of a thematic thing, that always everything, all bets are off. We establish something, it's because time has passed, we need to change it and modify it. Some things we do, but the veterans wanted this. It's not... I disagree with this idea of the glorification of war or celebrating war. This isn't some jingoistic drive to call people to national service. It's remembrance. Remembrance and glorification are mutually exclusive. We are just looking back to what happened and saying, on this one day, have this for you. Okay. Not about the civilians. We remember them too, but on this day, this symbol is for you.
Victor, thank you very much for your call. Lynn from Glasgow, what's your view?
I don't think the poppy should be anything but red. I totally agree with what Angela's saying. And to me, it's a mark of remembrance. And what really I think people should understand to start with is how to wear a poppy. Because the amount of people you see on television have obviously just shoved it on their jacket or on their blouse before they go on. It's upside down, it's round the wrong way, it's ridiculous. People don't even know how to wear a poppy properly. But no, it should be red. It's a tradition that I don't think should be touched or brought into a different
Lynn,
way.
here's
It
an
is what
argument
it is.
as to why traditions change over time and why they should change over time. And I'm going to go not to the purple poppy, not to the white poppy, but to an LGBTQ poppy. Now, back in World War II, back in World War I, it would have been illegal to be in the armed forces if you were a member of that community. But we can pretty much guess that there were members of that community in the armed forces that died, that gave their life, that sacrificed quite a lot, actually, just generally sacrificed who they are in their heart. Can we not wear a poppy to remember them?
But why does it have to be a poppy? Why can it not be?
Because they were on Flanders Field, because they were there fighting the exact same war.
Well, then wear a red poppy.
Yeah, but then you remember, but you're still wearing it for them because you're still remembering them as being a soldier or being a military. You're not. This is a military thing. My grandfather fought in the Second World War, so we're not going back where people don't have family members that were there or done their bit or whatever. And you need to remember as well, a lot of these young boys didn't want to go to war. They didn't have a choice in the matter.
It's so true.
No, my grandfather lost his leg. I fully get that, Lynn.
I absolutely. It's interesting what you say, Lynn, because my grandfather, who was young enough to fight in the First World War, but too old in the Second World War, and after this catastrophic price that was paid in terms of civilians and in terms of the military, they couldn't believe that 25 years or so later, the world was going to war again for a very valid cause. But believe me, there was not an appetite for war. There was not an appetite to go through the conscription and all the things that we knew happened as a consequence.
Lynn, thank you very much for your call. Robin from Gloucestershire, what's your thoughts?
Can I just thank Nefula? Is it Nefula? I don't know whether it's the right name.
Nelufar.
Yeah, because my body's reacted to your emotional, very powerful. I mean, I was born before the last war, until I wasn't. Obviously, I was only about 1 or 2. But I mean, the trauma felt in the city of Bristol, I felt that. And I do feel very strongly that there were soldiers who were going to be shot if they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which is they had a choice of being shot or being shot. And I do feel that these poor kids, these young men, victims, I think we call them heroes a lot to assuage a lot of deep guilt. I know this is big contentious, I don't care. But I think, thank you, Nefula. My body's still feeling it, I'm overcome, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry I did not this morning want to set people off at all. That's not my intention, but thank you, Robin.
Please don't be sorry. It's what I needed because it's unfinished business. So please don't be sorry. I'm very
Robin,
grateful.
What a lovely way to end this debate, and actually it's been incredibly respectful, and I appreciate that from all the callers from the panel, everybody involved, that we could have a mature conversation about that without anyone getting, people getting upset, but without anyone getting very cross at anybody else. Robin, thank you. Thanks for all your calls. We'll have to move on to our next topic now.